Tom Grow, where we talk all things sports, entertainment, fashion, and adventure. Since football season is in full effect, on today's show, we're talking to Marnie Schneider, author of the book series Football Freddy and Fumble the Dog. Welcome to the show, Marnie.
Well, thank you for having me. What a great intro. I love it.
Yay! And I love that we got Fumble.
Bumble is here, of course. He is the man of the hour, right? Yep, that's what he
He's he
says.
is such a cutie. So yeah, tell everybody about this series, those who aren't aware of it.
All right. Well, Football Freddy and Fumble the Dog Game Day in the USA is my children's book series. It's based loosely on my life growing up in the NFL. My grandfather, Leonard Toes, owned the Philadelphia Eagles, and my mom, Susan, was a teacher, but then she ended up becoming the first and only female legal counsel, general manager, and vice president of a professional football team. So, Football Freddy and Fumble the Dog was kind of created on a long plane ride back to Philadelphia from some city, maybe San Diego or wherever, when they used to have a team in San Diego. And my Walkman ran out of batteries, and my mom said, "Here's a notepad, start writing." And that's kind of how it happened. And 20 years after that, we decided to dust it off and bring it to prime time.
Yeah. So yeah, tell me about like what happened during those 20 years or how it came from this idea you had on the plane to now this wonderful series you've created.
Well, so, I was fortunate. I got to travel around and see all these great cities. I love football, and I was able to travel to watch football games, but there was a lot of downtime. So while I was in those cities, my mom was working and my grandfather was working. I would explore and visit. So I would get to write about things that I had seen, whether it was being in Pittsburgh and traveling around. So we decided that taking the ability to share my experiences of like the game day experience and putting that in a children's book format would be something that readers would embrace, and they have. So over the past couple of years, I've written 8 books. Philadelphia was the first book, and then we did the Carolinas, Atlanta, Pittsburgh, Chicago, Green Bay, Dallas, Fort Worth, and Tampa Bay, where Freddie and a friend, with the exception of Philadelphia, because that's my hometown, travel around and explore those cities and what the cities have to offer, and then make their way to the game so they can cheer on the home team and have a real fan experience.
How did you go about deciding what you were going to include in each book? Did you go to the cities and then check out certain spots on your own or just what you would do on game days?
A little bit of both. I mean, certainly there's highlights of every city that we really wanted to include. So definitely in Philadelphia, the Betsy Ross House, the National Constitution Center, things like that. But then each city kind of has some different things that are interesting. So in Chicago, you might go to the Garfield Observatory, and you might go in Pittsburgh to the Warhol Museum. So things like that that I think that I enjoy doing. And then maybe in Tampa Bay, you'll go see a manta ray. So there's just fun things that I always like to do, a little bit of variety in each book. And then the readers can kind of pick and choose what they want to maybe go visit if they go visit those cities. But usually when they're reading the books, they're like, "Oh, that looks cool," or "I've been there," or "My uncle was there," or something like that. And they get to
Yeah.
really have a conversation about it.
It's so great to see also a young girl being the main character in this football book. So what's the reaction been and how has that been received by people?
Well, I very well. Obviously, I always say that sports is the universal language. So certainly, as a woman, sports has been able to bring me into many different conversations, get me out of a few conversations too, perhaps, but definitely has opened up so many doors for me that I always say speaking sports really is the universal language. The arts as well. Arts really brings people together. But I think that the water cooler moments that happen around sports really do open up a conversation that you might not be a fan of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but you might think Tom Brady's great. Or you might not like the Eagles, but you might be like, "You know what, but I like Jalen Hurts." And you might identify with certain players on the team. And I think that that's something really cool. One of the things that we have planned for Game Day in the USA is to not only do football, but to then bring our concept to do all the other sports leagues. So instead of Football Freddy and Fumble the Dog, it would be Baseball Billy and Bunt the Dog, where you travel around, see different baseball cities, and then learn a little bit about baseball. And the same thing goes with basketball. So it's basketball Bobby and Buzzer the dog, or soccer Sammy and Score. And this way kids can learn all about the different cities for sure, but have a little bit of knowledge about the actual sport that's being played, because that ultimately might make them want to play. And definitely playing is a great coping skill, but certainly reading is a great coping skill too. So I'm excited to share all that with potential readers, and certainly people that are embracing Football Freddy and Fumble the Dog.
Yeah, I love it. I love to see it branch out and grow like that.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah.
What is the process for you? Like, how long does it take to create each book?
So it takes a couple months, mostly because I really like to have time to travel to that place, speak to the local fans, do some homework, because my mother, like I said, was a teacher. So doing homework is always key. And then really being able to edit the book. And part of it is the illustrations. I don't do the illustrations, but the illustrations are a huge part of the book too, because they really tell a story. And while our books are really for second, third, and fourth grade reading level, if you're younger, you might see a picture and you might say, oh, that's the Liberty Bell. You might not be able to read about it, but you can certainly see what it is, and then start having a conversation about it when you're not necessarily a strong reader. And what I've also noticed is that my mother has dementia. She certainly is an incredibly intelligent woman and is my co-author on a few books. But what I've now realized is when I want to show my mom the books, we go through it and she can identify certain things, even though she might not be as verbal as she once was. She definitely can identify places and notice things, and we can have a little bit of a conversation about it. And that's really fun too, in a whole other market that I didn't really necessarily think of, but I'm certainly grateful that we can share that. And adults love the books as well.
That's great. Talk about, I think your mom got her dementia diagnosis. Was it right after your first book or during your first book?
Yes, it was right after my first book. It doesn't run in our family, so there were just some things that were unusual, and then took my mom to a few different neurologists, and they all had the same unfortunate conclusion that my mother had frontal lobe dementia. And that is something that I still can't even believe that I say. And that my mom has it, although I'm very grateful that my mother lives with me and I get to be her caregiver. We have professional help too, because it's a full-time job, and I've got three kids that two of them are in college and one is a senior in high school. But they were all here in the house when my mom first moved in with us. So they've had an opportunity to see what that's like as well, which has been very good. I think that their relationship with my mother was so strong that it's definitely now it's a different relationship that they have with their grandmother, but still a beautiful one. And I'm grateful that I get to be my mom's caregiver and kind of see some of these things that I was not necessarily expecting, but that I am understanding some of the things that go on with dementia now, and hopefully it's added to my sensitivity, which I think I already had, but it definitely changes the perspective very quickly.
Yeah. I know you talk a lot about how lessons you learn from sports, carry on into your life and things like, and I know you also, your son, when he was born, had cancers as a child, baby before one. How does that, kind of that athletic sports mentality get you through some of these trying times in your
Well,
life?
first, I was very fortunate that I understood what it meant to kind of roll up your sleeves and suit up to play, and really be on the playing field, because that's truly, when you have a sick family member, it kind of is like playing the game of your life, and not every play and not every down is going to go as you want. And that's one of the things I love about football, is that in football, like life, you get four chances to get another four chances, and unless you really blow it, you're going to get the ball back before the end of the game. So you've got 60 minutes. So don't blow it, for one, and just do the best you can. And, that requires a team effort. So you really have to be perseverant. You have to have perseverance and grit and determination and drive. And those are some of the things that I've learned from watching great coaches and watching great athletes and watching great team owners and front office people, that you really have to just keep your foot on the gas. And definitely when it comes to a game, the game time experience is different. So what I love about sports, different than maybe being an actor or I love live sports, is that you really don't get a chance to do it over. And that's really like life. Like you have to remember that, well, yeah, there are experiences that you can do over. You have to bring it every single time. Because if you're playing a game, you can't say, oh, you know what? I want to do that one over. And no, you say, I'm going to live with the consequences. And that's whatever that is. So getting my son the best medical care and being really involved, that was something that certainly knowing the nuances of professional sports definitely helped me. And I think dealing with my mom's adversity, it definitely has helped me. I know I'm not going to cure this disease, but I believe that I can make her experience, her game day experience, as good as possible. And that is something, and bring in great teammates to help me out. Those are some of the things that I've definitely learned from being around professional sports.
Yeah. And how has sports and also helped you in your business and creating this wonderful series and these books that you've created?
Well, definitely, you have to keep your foot on all those sayings that which are really true, and keep your foot on the gas. And if you having a problem, drop 10 and punt, and it right up the best thing to do. And I learned this from Coach Dick Vermeil, who was recently inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, is not only to write a game plan, but you have to write a winning game plan. And that's very different. I mean, ultimately, writing a game plan means you're just going to kind of write down some notes. Writing a winning game plan means that you're really going to have the ability to execute, and to execute to get to that winning result. Because it's not much different than writing the game plan, a winning game plan. But writing the winning game plan means that you probably have to do a little bit more heavy lifting. And when you're doing the work anyway, you might as well do the heavy lifting.
Yeah. So for those of that are out there that may want to want to write children's books as well, what are some things you learned, or what was your game plan? Or you don't have to give away all your secrets, but
No,
like, what are
I
some
love to
things you,
share. I think that just doing it, just having an idea, and then talking to people. Some people will say, don't talk to people because they're going to, take your ideas. That's ridiculous. Most people cannot execute. They cannot. So if you have a great idea, talk to the people that you trust and get some guidance and get some help, and find your cheerleaders. We have a family saying that cheering for others makes you a leader, a cheerleader. Have cheerleaders around you. Have the people that are advocating for you. That really makes a big difference. I love cheerleaders. I think that they really do add to the game day experience. And I think that people, when you're a great cheerleader for your friends or your family, you are really making a big difference. And so that's something that's super helpful. And cheerleaders give you confidence. Cheerleaders give you the confidence to go and say, you know what, I can do this. People are cheering for me. I'm going to do it. I don't want to disappoint them. I don't want to disappoint myself. I'm going to go do it. So that's something really great. And then remember, if someone's cheering for you, the best way to show them thanks is to actually accomplish that goal, but also cheer for them too when they need it.
yeah. How hard is it to go through getting the illustrations done and get the publicists and get everything out there?
Well, the illustration, the publisher does the illustrations. I work with them. I write the script. I mean, I write the storyline, and then we'll say, okay, Fumble and this scene needs to be, so at the Georgia Aquarium, wouldn't it be funny if Fumble has on a scuba mask and is in there swimming around? And so then that's kind of part of the story. And kids love to see Fumble doing Fumble things, whether it's swimming with the sharks at the aquarium, and obviously safely swimming with the sharks, or reading Mother Goose when he's in Green Bay and sitting on the rocks reading to the geese and reading Mother Goose. So I love getting Fumble being a participant when he's at Kitty Hawk and Game Day in the Carolinas, and he's like one of the Wright brothers in the airplane. I mean, there's just fun things that he gets to do, and that seems to also be a real crowd pleaser. So we work with the illustrator for that, because while it might not necessarily fit into the text part of it, it definitely fits into the illustrations, and that's really always fun.
Hmm.
Yeah.
How does it feel for you when you go out and you're reading your books with other children?
Oh, it's the best. I love it. I love getting kids excited about reading, because reading, like I say, is the best coping skill we can give kids, reading and playing. So I love that. I love when they ask questions. I love when they are curious about it. I love the fact that certainly I'm so grateful that kids are back in the classroom. I think that that's where kids belong. And I feel sad for kids that really missed out on a couple of years of not being in the classroom. But one of the things that was a, I guess, a decent, although it's still, maybe we wish we never had this after that, was that I've been able to, through Zoom, get to a lot of classrooms that I might not have been able to get to. So I still do that, and that's lots of fun. But nothing's better than being in a classroom or an assembly with 300 kids that are really excited to hear me read Football Freddy and Fumble the Dog, and get excited about it, and see it on the monitor behind me, and they know those places, or they get excited about learning, or they want to go to those places. So to me, that's just wonderful. And then when librarians tell me that they love my book, so I guess it's similar to a food critic or a chef telling you that your cooking is good. When a librarian says your books are great, or a school superintendent, that's the best compliment ever, because they really know what kids like, and they know what the children want to be reading. So when they tell me that my books are great, and that kids love them, and that the teachers really love them, that is a huge compliment. And I'm very grateful for that. So that's something that I'm very appreciative of.
Yeah, I love how giving you are. It's great. I love these stories and that you're sharing. I'm of course, being Tom girl, I'm a huge fan that there's a book like this for girls. Going to these stadiums and going to these experiences. You're also, because I saw another little cameo appearance by your other dog there.
Yeah.
Another thing, you're a big animal lover and rescue animal lover. Can you talk about giving back to the animals?
Yes. So Fumble the dog is a rescue dog. And
So
he
cute.
was, although, they say that we rescue them, but that's not true. They rescue us. Like, there was an article written about me in Fumble a couple of years ago, and the picture of us, it said Fumble rescued Marnie in Wyoming, and Wyoming is true. And a few years ago, and then the author of the article called me, and was so upset. He said, "I'm so sorry, that was a typo." And I said, "No, no, no, leave it, because our dogs really do rescue us. Like, maybe I physically had to go do some of the work, but they really do rescue us." So yes, I've got rescue dogs. I love to volunteer. I'm on the board of directors at the Humane Society. It's something that really is important to me, and finding a way to give a voice to the animals definitely is very, very, very meaningful. And I am thankful that I get to kind of visit them, and they've got great programs. And volunteering and rescuing pets is something that we can all kind of do, and it's something relatively easy. And I find that the more that I give back, the better I feel. And so that's just one of those things where it's interesting, because people, whenever I'm having a bad day, or anybody's having a bad day, I'm like, go volunteer, because it will really reset you in a way that you did not necessarily think. It's better than shopping, and it's better than eating uh gluttonous foods or whatever. Volunteering is really the best way to reset yourself. And another charity that I'm very involved with is the Ronald McDonald House. My grandfather, when he owned the Philadelphia Eagles, a football player on the team named Fred Hill, his daughter was diagnosed with leukemia, and then they started a charity called Eagles Fly for Leukemia. And then that turned into the very first Ronald McDonald House in Philadelphia in 1974. So I'm very proud of that philanthropy. I'm on the board of that as well. I chaired our gala that we just had last week, and we raised $352,000 in one night, which is an incredible result. And that is because so many people really do care, and it's amazing that people want to participate and give their time and their resources. And those are things that really truly make the world a better place.
Yeah, definitely. We visited a Ronald McDonald House when I was playing college basketball, and it was, wonderful experience to see, people helping out on all the compassion.
Yes, it
Yeah.
really is. The Ronald McDonald House, people don't even know the history of it. It really started, McDonald Corporation definitely got involved, but it really started because of an entire city of Philadelphia said, this is something that we want to help raise money for. And that's how the Shamrock Shake got created. And
Oh.
then they, like I said, they opened up the very first house in 1974 in Philadelphia. And in less than 50 years, this charity has gone on to do amazing things. and families have a place to stay when their child is sick. And I know, because I had a sick child, what it's like to have a sick child, and you're really not thinking about anything other than how am I going to get this kid well, and spending time at the hospital. So you're not thinking about making meals or cleaning up or doing anything. And then having a place where you can be so close to the hospital and you're not driving and doing things that might take your time or your mind away from your job at hand, which is to get your child well and talk to doctors and nurses and be the best advocate for your child. That's what the Ronald McDonald House provides families. What they call, it's a, keeping families close is their motto, but it really is the house that love built. That's how they originally started, as the house that love built.
I love truly wonderful. Yeah. Well, when you're not writing, were you an athlete growing up as well? Were you big into like playing sports or no?
Well, I was a horseback rider, and I always liked to play tennis and soccer and field hockey. Those, but not really necessarily good. I was decent at horseback riding. The other sports, not so good at. But I managed our varsity baseball team, and I have a varsity letter. I love baseball, and I love watching games. I certainly love going to the football games. My youngest son is a senior in high school, and he's on the varsity football team, and is a long snapper and a fullback. And so we're our official season. I'm getting emotional thinking about it. Our official season is over, and now we're going into the playoffs, and it's the end. It's just so, the Friday night lights experience. My older son played football, and my younger son does, and now we're kind of winding that down. And I love nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing's more fun than high school football. I love it.
Yeah, there's a high school right by my house, and I love hearing on Friday nights, the drums. And so my mom stayed. She's like, "What was it I heard?" I'm like, "I was the drums. It was a game." There's
Yeah.
something about that sound and that energy that's awesome.
It's just great. The kids and the high school band, and they're having a good time, and the cheerleaders, and it's wholesome and fun and very physical. These kids are really working hard, and the level of competition is incredible. So it's really amazing. They really do give a lot of effort. And the coaches, these high school coaches, they don't make any money, but they just love knowing that they're helping these kids out and helping the families out. And it really makes a huge difference. And communities that have thriving high school football programs, to me, I think everything benefits. The real estate's probably better there, and the local supermarket does probably well on a Friday night because families are in there getting their tailgate foods and everything else. So I see the whole big picture of it, and it's really
Yeah.
helpful.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Okay, I have to ask you because I think I saw something scrolling through your Instagram, and
Uh-huh.
were you in The Wedding Singer?
Yes. That is like the one thing that whenever I'm doing public speaking, they all want to know, the wedding singer, the wedding singer. Yes. I am Joyce, the flight attendant in The Wedding Singer. So that was a lot of fun. Adam Sandler's great. And it was just a fun thing to get to do. And occasionally it'll be on like Comedy Central or Bravo, and my friends will see it and send me a screenshot of me handing out hot towels to Adam, or my name is Joyce. Just buzz if you need anything. So yes, it was lots of fun. Acting is a great thing. The arts are cool because it really does take you out of your comfort zone, and you have to do things differently. So any chance I get to be maybe on camera in a different way as a character, I definitely will take that opportunity, because you really have to dig deep to get the results. But I love that, and challenging yourself is something that I think is a healthy way to make sure that you are continuing to push the boundaries and do things a little differently all the time, and that's a good thing.
So is that something you'd like to do more of?
Maybe I actually would like to maybe do more on camera work when it comes to sports and motivational speaking to people, but and being myself. However, if there's a part out there that somebody says you can go do, I will happily go suit up to play in that too. It's kind of just how it goes. When somebody asks you to do something, say yes, go do it, because opportunities happen, and then you say yes, and then more opportunities happen, and then people want to know about it, and then you widen your net of friends and acquaintances and knowledge. And we have a family saying that information is currency. So if you're informed about something, that's actually almost worth money in the bank. If you don't get paid for it, but you're learning something, that's okay too. Eventually you might get paid for it, but even if you don't and you're learning things, being educated on different subjects will only make you more interesting.
Yeah. Do you ever want to turn Football Freddy into like an animated cartoon or series?
Oh, yes, we do. And
Yeah.
something that we're working on. So we're
Perfect.
really excited about that. We kind of believe that the game day brand experience from Football Freddy to Baseball Billy, Fumble the Dog, Bunt the Dog is really an opportunity to get kids all over the world learning and loving sports. So putting together an animated series is definitely something that we're working on, creating an opportunity to have licensed and branded materials, whether it's game day. We're working right now on football sweaters for dogs that look like
Oh, I
football,
love it.
and football Freddy dolls, and having an entire line of products available to get kids excited about the game day experience, excited about where they are, branded jerseys for the pets and so forth. So something that we're definitely working on right now. Stuffed animals. I love stuffed animals. So having a Fumble the Dog stuffed animal and a Freddy doll and then an animated series. These are all part of the experience that we're trying to create for young fans and families out there.
Yeah, well, I absolutely love it. You got me excited, and I'm going to send it to any all the young kids that I know in the fam because I think it's
Well,
great.
thank you. Yes. We're available
Yeah.
on Amazon or mascot.com. If you go to Mascot, that's our publishing company. They have books available. Amazon's usually the easiest place, but Mascot is very easy as well. Barnes and Noble, so all those places, and you can reach out to me or reach out to you and connect with me, and I'll do an online reading for the kids' schools or whatever it is. So I love to be asked to do things. It's always a pleasure and a privilege.
I love it. Where can people reach out to you on Instagram or Facebook or where?
Yeah, all of that. Instagram is Marnie Schneider 1 is my Instagram. I also have a game day page too, but usually I just connect them to me and then I'll connect them to game day. Marnie Schneider on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and that's pretty much. I think I have Twitter, but I don't really use Twitter, but Instagram or Facebook are definitely the best places to find me, or they can reach out to you and you can connect them.
Will
Yes.
do. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. Like I said, I'm a huge fan. Absolutely love you. Love what you're doing. I think it's just wonderful. So,
Well, thank you. I really appreciate you finding me and allowing me to share my love of reading and kids playing, and of course football. And have Fumble sitting here. He's always he's my cheerleader too, by the way. So thank you so much for having me on your show, and thanks for playing sports and for doing all the cool things that you're doing by bringing people on your show and highlighting them and celebrating them. That is called a big time cheerleader. So thank you.
oh, thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right, guys, that's a wrap for this week. We will see you here again next week. You can follow us everywhere at Tom Girl TV on Instagram, Facebook. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel we have now too, so you can watch everything in video. Or if you like podcasts, get it wherever you get your podcasts. We'll see you next week. Bye bye.